Good morning, first grade. I hope that you're doing well and that you had a great weekend and ready to kickstart some phonics this morning. So let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully by now, before we start, you have gone through your phonics cards and kept those sounds fresh in your mind. Remember, you don't have to do the whole packet, but just do 2 or 3. Pick a page to go through and keep those sounds that we learned last week fresh in your mind, and that way that whenever you're reading, you can notice them quickly, and whenever you're writing them, you remember those rules. So don't forget to not throw those away. Keep those so that way you can this week add to them, and just go through there and make sure you're keeping those sounds fresh in your mind. All right. Today we're going to have some fun. Today we are going to talk about prefixes. And so before we got out for spring break, we talked about suffixes. And can anybody remember what a suffix is? I'm going to give you a second to say it to somebody. Tell them what a suffix is. So hopefully you told them that a suffix is added to the end of a root word, right? So what do you think prefix means or is? What is a prefix? Go ahead and tell somebody close by to you. All right, so a prefix is whenever we add that sound or that chunk of something to the beginning of the root word. So today we have 2 prefixes that we're going to talk about. And one prefix is the word pre, or the sound pre, P-R-E. And the other prefix we're going to talk about is dis, D-I-S. And so first we're going to focus on the first prefix first. And that's pre. So what do you think the suffix pre means? Think about it. Pre. If I put the word pre in front of one of my root words, what do you think the prefix pre means? Hopefully you said pre means before. So before I do something. So let's look at my words. Echo these words after me. Are you ready? Pre-cook, preheat, prepay. Good. So when I think of the prefix pre, I think of before. So pre-cook, kind of like before you cook, right? Do it before. Pre-cook something. Preheat. So I would heat something before I did it. So I would preheat the oven. That means I want to get it warmed up before I put something in there, right? And prepay, which means that I'm going to pay before I pick something up, or I'm going to pay before I take it home with me, right? So I have to prepay for something. So you remember with our suffixes that when we code suffixes and prefixes, we just put a box around them. So let's practice first with these couple words. So I have the words pre-cook. So I see my prefix, my new prefix, pre. I'm going to box it. And if I were to take this prefix away, is that still a word? Cook. Yeah, that's my root word. So that's how I know and I can identify my prefixes. Because remember the trick I told you. If I were to take this away, and the suffixes too, if it's still a word, then that's how you know it's your prefix or your suffix. That is my root word, cook. So now let's go ahead and code cook. I've got my vowel digraph, so I'm going to underline it. And then I have my K back on my C, the K. So right in there, I'm going to put my little line, give it a K back. Pre-cook. All right, there we go. And I'm going to put my apostrophe at the end. Let's do the next one. Preheat. I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees before I put the biscuits in. I don't want them to not cook while they're in there. So I can find my prefix, pre. I'm going to box it. If I take away the prefix pre, is heat a word? Absolutely, right? So let's code the word heat. I'm going to underline my vowel digraph. E-A. All right, and then I know eat, I'm going to put a macaron over my E and cross out the A. And then put my apostrophe at the end. We do that for our prefixes. All right? Very good. So that's how preheat should be coded. Let's try the next one, prepay. And you can be doing this with me on your paper, on a whiteboard, whatever is easiest for you. I can identify my prefix. So I'm going to box it. And then I have to code the word pay. A like hay. So I'm going to underline it. Cross out the Y. Put a macaron over my A, and don't forget your apostrophe at the end. Prepay. All right? Now, before I let you go, let's talk about the prefix dis, D-I-S. And so sometimes this can be tricky. It depends on the words. But when I'm talking about the prefix dis, that means kind of like it went away or it never happened. So let's talk about this word. Does anybody know this word? Let's chunk it together. Dis, because we know that word. Honest. Dishonest. Very good. Dishonest. Does that mean you're being very honest and telling the truth? Nope, it doesn't. Let's do this one. Disable, and distrust. So same thing with these prefixes. Ask yourself, okay, if I were to take away the prefixes, is it still a word? Is it still a root word? And if you answered yes, then you're correct. It is a prefix. So let's go ahead and code those. I have the word dishonest. I can find my prefix. Okay. Now I have to code the word honest. Now this one's a little tricky. We don't actually hear the H in this word. I'm going to move this a little closer so hopefully you can hear or can see. Okay. We don't actually hear it. So I'm going to cross out my H because it's silent. Short O. Dishonest. E-S-T-S. Dishonest. All right. And, I'm trying to look at it to see if I'm missing anything, and I am. It is a VCV word, which means our vowel, consonant, vowel, and we need to separate it. Let's do it with our hands. Honest. So I'm going to draw my line down the middle and put my apostrophe there. Dishonest. Oh, that was a big one. We haven't done those in a while. All right, let's do the next one. The next word is disable. If I take away this, dis prefix, is able a word? Absolutely. So I can box my prefix, dis. And then able. I'm going to put a macaron over my A. Put a bracket around the B-L-E because it says bull like bubble. Cross out the E because it is silent. And don't forget about your apostrophe. Disable. All right. That way, whenever we're reading, we can code these words in our head and we can help us sound it out. Let's do the last one. Distrust. Same thing. If I box or take away this prefix, is trust a word? Yes, that's how I know it's a prefix. So let's code the word trust. That's a blend. We don't have to code it anyway. Trust, distrust, and don't forget your mark at the end of the word. Very good. All right, that one's a pretty easy one. There was no other coding that we needed to do with it. So, whenever you're working today on your prefixes, make sure you ask yourself, if I were to take away this prefix, is this still a root word? And if you answer it yes, then that means you've done it correctly. All right. If you take away the prefix and it's not a word, then that means it's not a prefix. All right. So be careful, have some fun, and go ahead and get started coding on your words on your worksheet. And I will see how you did. Keep up the good work, guys. See you later.